we had camera glitch on the first example of this technique I showed you. So I brought it up to the point where the camera failed us, and I'll show you how to put color on the trunks. The first thing I want to do is mix up a gray, an interesting gray, with a little bit of purple in it. That'll be for the trunks. So I've got some mixed up here, and now I'm going to take a big brush and I'm going to go down what would be my right side with just plain water, because I want that side to be the shadow side. So here I am dragging my brush down that side, and I'm going to pick up some of this gray and just kind of tickle it in, if you want to know, just pulling it down. On that side. Gonna mix up some more. They don't have to be exactly the same, of course. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. Gonna wet the right side, just pull that down, both this branch and that branch. Load my brush. And just pull it down to be the shadow side. Don't worry if it gets away from you a bit. I'm going to add a little bit more paint here for drama, and also because watercolor dries a little bit lighter. Okay, so same here. Wetter. There's a little paint in my brush, that's okay. I'm just gonna wet the right side. Follow the contour of the tree. Grab some paint and make a shadow side on that tree. I don't want it to look perfect because in nature it doesn't. This is such a little branch. I might just, instead of wetting it first, just paint the shadow side on that. If this looks like it's too abrupt, you know our trick. We wet the brush, we wipe the brush, and then you can just gently touch it with your damp brush and see how that paint will creep over into the area that you've just made damp. Same thing here. Wet, wipe, soften that edge. Wet, wipe. I'm going to do it over here. Soften the dry edge and the paint will creep over. That looks pretty, doesn't it? Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna dampen this. Following down the length of that trunk. Grab some paint and drag it through the right side. Have to be consistent with where your shadow side is. This is small enough, I'm just going to go ahead and paint it with shadow color. Damp brush, slide down the trunk. Grab some shadow color and add it to the right side. Dampen it, dampen it. It's okay if some of the color from the background gets in there. It would, in nature, it would reflect the color around it. It's looking pretty good. Soften that edge. I'm gonna wet this, whoops, dampen it. I like how it drug a little bit of that background color into this. Watch how pretty it is when that happens. So I'm grabbing some shadow, going over on the right side, and just tapping in the shadow side. It's okay if some parts are lighter, maybe the sun is shining through the branches. And now I want to make a few little dark branches. So I'm going to take this deep red and orange and blue. It's a warm purple, and I'm just going to drag a few little far away branches through there. I'm using just the very tip of this very good brush. It's a good brush because it can make little lines like that. Looks like there wants to be one here. I think we did it. After this dries for a minute, I'm going to load the toothbrush with some rich color, and I'm going to sprinkle on just a few leaves in front of the branches. I'm going to see if I can get away with doing that right now over here. Let me see. Just a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. If a bloop happens, no problem. We know the trick. You wet your brush, you wipe your brush, and lift. Or you can even just take a tissue and just dab a little bit. There we go. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, let's take the tape off. Low, slow and away. don't want my finger to touch that nice clean border. There we are.